This is the 7th grade math first semester exam review, and this is going to start part 2. The first 10 will be found in part 1 video. Starting with 11. Christina is tying 2 pieces of string together to make a single piece. Her knot will reduce the length of each piece by 1/4 inch. If one piece is 3 1/4 inches long and the other is 5 1/2 inches long, what will be the length of a single piece of string? So she's going to start off with 3 1/4 inches. Each knot is going to be 1/4 inches. Take up that much string. And then we have another one, and then we're going to tie another knot in it. So, number 11, we're going to take the original length, subtract the 1/4, and that one's easy because 1/4, 1/4 is going to leave you with 3. The next one's going to be 5 1/2 minus 1/4 equals. Well, we need to get a common denominator, okay? And if I can turn this one into 4 by timesing 2 times 2 be 2/4. And that way I don't have to do the C trick. So that's going to leave you with 5 1/4 on this one. So then we need to take this and add them up. 3 plus 5/4 equal. And then you can find your answer on the document. Number 12. Express each fraction or mixed number as a decimal. Use a notation bar. So that tells you it's going to repeat. Use a notation bar. This one doesn't have a notation bar, and this one doesn't have a notation bar. So I've eliminated 2 of my answers. I love to eliminate my answers before I even start by using the wording in the question. So if we have 8/9, I need to turn that into a decimal by dividing 8 by 9. Number 13. A recipe calls for 2 3/4 cup of milk. If the recipe is tripled, how much milk is needed? Okay. If I have 2 3/4 cups and I want to triple it, okay, I can do the C trick, and that would be 2 times 4 plus 3, 11/4 times 3/1, because simply putting the whole number over 1 creates refraction. And then you multiply straight across. So 11 times 3 would be 33. 4 times 1 is 4. Now it's improper. So you have to divide 33 by 4 to get your answer. Let's look at 14. It takes Mara 50 minutes to walk to her friend's house, 1 2/3 miles away. What is her walking pace in miles per hour. This is hours, this was minutes. Keep that in mind. Okay. Actually, I have room to do it down here. If we have 1 2/3 miles, I'm going to divide that by 50 minutes. Do the C trick. That would be 5/3. And actually, 15 minutes, we're going to put over 60 because this is an hour. And it's 50/60. Parts over the whole. So in dividing fractions, remember you're going to keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep this fraction, change this sign, and flip. And we can simplify that by dividing by 10, and you're going to get 6/5. So 5 times 6 and 3 times 5. And now again, it's improper, so you need to reduce. Simplify to get your answer. So 15. Diane is painting a bedroom with a mix of paints listed on the table. What is the total amount of paint in the mix? So I just want total amount. So we're going to add all these up. So 15, I've got 1/2 plus 1/4 plus 1 1/2 plus 1/3. Now then, to add fractions, you need a common denominator. And if I look here, my common denominator is going to be 12. So I'm going to go ahead and change all my denominators to 12, because I know that's what I've got to do. And if I change this one real quick to an improper fraction, it would be 3/2. So from 2 to 12, I need to multiply by 6. What you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So that would be 6. 4 times 3 is 12. That would be 3. 2 times 6, and that would be 18. 3 times 4 would be 4. You add them all up. I believe it will be 31/12. It's improper. Big man's on top, so it's improper. You're going to have to do 31 divided by 12 to get your answer. 16. A recipe calls for 2 1/4 cups of sugar. If 1/3 of the recipe is made, how much sugar is needed? Okay, so if I have 2 1/4 cups of sugar and I only want 1/3, okay, so I need to make it smaller. Remember, making things smaller, we need to divide by 3. Again, when we're having to divide fractions, it's keep, change, flip. And I need to go ahead and make this into an improper fraction. 4 times 2 plus 1 would be 9/4. So I'm going to keep that and go 9/4, change my sign, and flip it. Well, if it was 3/1, it's going to be 1/3. So you have 9/12. This can be simplified, so you need to reduce to find your answer. 17. Determine the value of each expression, write in simplest form. I know it's going to be a negative because it's 3/8 times a negative 2/7. Can't be these two answers. It's got to be a negative. So 3 times a negative 2 would be a negative 6. And 8 times 7 would be 56. You need to reduce that. Divide by 2. Number 18. Determine the area of a rectangle with a length of 5 1/8 meters and a width of 3 3/7 meters. To find area, you're going to multiply this times this. So we have 5 1/8 times 3 3/7. You're going to need to do the C trick. Five times 8 plus 1 be 41/8 times 3 times 7 plus 3 be 24/7 equals. Multiply straight across, and then you're going to have to simplify. It's going to be an improper fraction. Number 19. Express each fraction as a mixed number. Use the notation bar if needed. Okay, so we have -6 3/4. I have a whole number that I'm not going to touch, and that's your -6. So -6 stays. That doesn't change. My decimal, I'm going to change 3/4 into a decimal. So again, it's a negative answer, so it can't be those. And I don't even have to go any further, and I can see a -6 right there. And we know 3/4 is like 75 cents. So that one was pretty easy. Number 20. Replace with a less than, greater than, or equal to make this true sentence. I would, instead of finding a common denominator, change them to decimals. 8 divided by 13 and 5 divided by 17. And then see which one's going to be greater than, or less than, or equal to. And we know it's not a plus. Okay. Number 21. Peter bought a dozen blueberry muffins. He ate 1/3 of them and then divided the remaining muffins equally among 4 friends. How much did Peter spend on each friend's muffins? Okay, this one's going to be a little multi-step. And we want blueberry muffins, right? So we find blueberry muffins. Those are 15. We have a dozen of them, but he ate 1/3 of them. So 12 divided by 3 equals 4 muffins. That's how many he ate. Okay, that was 1/3. He ate 4 muffins. So now let's take 12, subtract the 4 that he ate, and you're going to be left with 8 muffins. For his friends. Okay, so he has 4 friends. So now then, if he has 8 muffins left, we have to divide that by 4 friends. And each friend gets 2 per friend. Okay? Now then, we have 15 for a dozen. So we have to find the unit rate. So 15 divided by 12. There's 12 in a dozen. I want to find the unit rate, and that's going to be I believe that's your answer for that. Double check me. But that's for 1 muffin. So remember, that is unit price per muffin. And how many did they get? 2 per friend. So 1.25 times 2 will give you your answer. $22. Caroline bought 12 1/4 feet of plywood to make a table. She needs a total of 1 1/4 feet of plywood for the 4 legs. The tabletop requires 6 1/2 feet of plywood. The supports require 3 1/4 feet of plywood. Will Caroline have enough plywood left for the supports after she uses the wood she bought for the legs of the tabletop? So if we're going to start off with 12 1/4 feet, that's our starting point. But we need a 1/4 to make the legs. So we're going to subtract. And then we need another 6 1/2 for the tabletop. Okay, so beginning, and this is the legs, and this is the top. And then this would be left over. Okay, but we need to change to have the common denominator for everything. I would go ahead and do the C trick, but I would change this before you go. So 2 times 2 would be 4. So you would do 2/4, 6 2/4 to do the C trick with it. So 12 times 4 plus 1, 49 over 4 minus 4 times 1 plus 1 minus 6 times 4 plus 2 is I think it would be 24, 26. Is that right? Double check my math. I want to double check it just to make sure. So, yeah, 26 over 4. And see what you get. And see if that would be enough. Because she needs 3 1/4 to make the supports. So if this is more than 3 1/4, she has enough. If it's less, she doesn't have enough. Number 23. So we want to write this as a fraction. So again, we have 68 wholes. So that one cannot be it. We're going to leave 68 there. But then we have 0.25. Well, that's an easy one. We should remember 25 cents out of $1 would be 1/4 out of 4. But if you can't remember that, draw your line, put a 1 under the decimal, fill it in. And now you just have to simplify. 25 goes into 25 one time, 25 goes into 100 4. So your answer is B. (24) When diving, a hummingbird can reach the speed of 40 miles per hour. What is this speed in miles per minute around the nearest hundredths? So we have 40 miles in 1 hour, but 1 hour is 60 minutes because we want in minutes. So that's going to be 40 over 60, which we can simplify right there by dividing by 10. And now you need to do 4 divided by 6 to get your decimal. (25) What is the constant rate of change in what each line represents? The title says monthly savings. This is your month. This is your savings. The rate at which money was saved, keyword. The rate at which money was spent. The rate at which money was earned. The rate at which money was lost. And it says savings, so your answer is A. Number 26. Determine each percent of change around to the nearest whole percent and state whether it's an increase or decrease. If it started out at 7,500 and it went to 8,200, that is a increase. So it's not this one and it's not this one. So now you just have to find the percent of change. To do that, you start with the new amount minus the original, divide by the original. And you will round to the nearest percent. You'll get a decimal. You got to change your decimal to a percent. Okay, I'm going to stop there for the second part. We'll do the third part next.